Okay, so over the years, from time to time, we will send records to each other. If
Yeah.
one of us is going to record store day, for example, and the other is not, or we send lists back and forth if we're looking for something in particular and somebody else finds it, we'll send it back and forth. But a couple times I was hoping to surprise you, right? And I sent you a record, and because, it's you and me, you totally already had it. So this year for your birthday, I knew I had to get you something really unique, something you did not have, something that was literally a one of one. So this time
No.
you can't possibly have it.
Okay. Are you sure? Okay, because I mysteriously received this package in the mail earlier this week, and I the only thing on the return address is media, and it is record shaped. So I'm assuming this is the box that you're talking about.
It is in
This is
fact media. I
the
can
package.
confirm.
It is media. Okay. Okay. Shall I dig in?
Please do. And I'll say
All
this will
right.
either be very cool or not at all. We'll see what happens. Because I have not seen said media.
Right.
But happy birthday, man.
Thanks, man. All right.
So,
Here we go. Is this how this works? Am I supposed to do this shit?
yes, exactly. And we're supposed to see it before you do.
All right. What has we here? Oh, we've got. Oh, this is well, it's well packed because it came
Lovely.
inside another. Yeah, a box
Well,
in a box in a box.
so that makes this our second unboxing of the day and our
So
third in,
far,
in the history of the show.
that's right. Yeah,
It's like two unboxings in one.
I know, two in one. It's a box inside a riddle wrapped inside an enigma wrapped inside a warm, soft tortilla.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got.
All right, this is it.
What? Dude, what? The fuck is this?
Show the world, man.
Uh, it says Rip and Destroy, episode 15, Halloween 2025.
Yes, indeed.
It's got a Casablanca label.
Yes, it does.
Please explain yourself, sir.
That is in fact the Halloween episode on vinyl, one of one, and there's a bonus track on there too.
Shut up!
True story. Check out the
Dude,
label.
this is insane. Yeah, it just says hidden bonus track.
That's it. And
Dude,
let
what?
me see what the back cover looked like. I want to see if that turned out.
Yeah, it came in a plastic sleeve, and
Okay.
the vinyl, uh, the record itself is outside of the sleeve, like a record collector nerd would do. So,
Okay.
yeah, let me peel this sucker open and see what's. Dude, this is insane, man.
It's a little bit insane. The most intimidating part, honestly, was doing graphic design work and sending it to you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's gorgeous, perfectly done. I love it.
That picture on the front was a picture of TJ and I in 2014 in Vegas when we went to see Kiss. It was rock and roll all night.
Yep.
And he flips me around. We do the 180 and get the greatest selfie in history right there.
Yeah, the rock and roll all night selfie with me and you, and we've got the logo up top there, and the record comes in like a super nice. It's like one of those like super nice like
Oh, cool.
poly like lined poly sleeves. So that's quality. Aw, so it's got a
I love it.
selfie of a Mike and then a picture of me and one of my dogs.
Yep.
That's Mojo from when he was just a little kid, man. That's probably oh man, we don't have that little dude anymore. He was a good boy. But yeah, that's that's an old one. And then it's got the track listing and we got Saint Toady in the middle.
Of course we do. It was either that
Love it.
picture or the Halloween picture of you with the fangs, but I thought this one was a little more
Oh man.
on
It
brand.
just says yeah, part one, part two, and then bonus track. So
Bonus
I
track.
cannot wait to see what the bonus track is. Dude, this is amazing. Thank you.
Of course, man. Of
Thank you
course.
so
Hope
much. This is so great.
hope you love it. And we're going to record the actual program here in a couple days, so by that point you will have heard the bonus track and you can give a quick review.
I sure will. Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
very
my
welcome.
friend.
Happy
You're
birthday.
the best. Thank you.
Hey there, welcome to episode 31 of the world-renowned Rip and Destroy podcast. I'm Mike,
I'm TJ.
and today we're going to talk about the lore of Kiss and how that lore was represented in their fan club bios, in the books, the merch, the toys, the condoms, the caskets and what have you. And the reason why we're talking about this is because it was picked by TJ himself because it's his birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, we filmed the unboxing the other day when Mike sent me a very gracious package. But yeah, the 10th was my birthday. I know this episode's probably going up around the 15th or so, but so thank you, my friend, again for that record. We'll talk about that in a minute. I also want to wish a very happy birthday on the 12th to Eric Carr. Long may he
Mm.
rock. And also, one other thing I want to mention is that, our social media team did make a post on Instagram about my birthday, on my birthday, and it got no likes.
Oh, come
So
on
fuck
now.
y'all. Fuck all y'all. Obviously, we know who the golden child of the podcast is, Mike, but
Oh, Lord.
that's
Well,
okay. I don't
I,
care.
I'm not on the Insta, so
Yeah, I know. Well,
well,
that's all right.
they didn't have a love button, so like,
That must be the problem. Yeah.
what's a
Okay.
girl to do?
I'm making the Toady Fields face.
Oh, we'll talk more about her in a minute too.
Saint Toady.
Saint Toady, indeed. Well, before we get started on the lore, what's on your mind?
Well, as we all in here in Kiss World know, Kiss announced since our last episode, Kiss announced the Destroys Anaheim 76 official release, which is very cool because Destroys Anaheim is as we all know, it's a classic bootleg from the 70s. We've had the show like on VHS. I mean, we've had the bootleg video of that for over 30 years.
Right, right.
It also came out on two bootleg LPs way back in the 70s. But Kiss, as was long rumored, officially did record that show. Eddie Kramer worked on it, and he remastered this new version. And they're actually officially releasing a bootleg, which is pretty cool. Actually, I think even a little nicer than the off the soundboard releases. It's got a cool package, of course, by our friend Tom German, with kind of some modified Destroyer art. Comes with looks like it comes with a booklet and a poster. I ordered the colored vinyl version. Did you get one yet?
I haven't ordered it yet. I'm holding out to see if Walmart is going to carry it because Walmart always has something exclusive and special with like their records. So I'm going to give it a couple more days and then I'll just order it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
But
not sure about that. I know the one thing I will mention that is that I ordered it from You Discover Music, which is like Universal's like direct shop, because the shipping was actually cheaper than ordering it from Kiss Online. So
mm,
take
very
from
cool.
take from that what you will. But I'm very excited about that release, and I think we're probably not going to talk about it too much right now. I think we're going to probably wait until we get our copies, and we'll do some unboxings and we'll talk about it then.
Couple things about it though, real quick, is just I know a lot of the bootlegs have 8 songs, but this is all 17 songs from the set in the exact same order, which is very cool. And this
Yeah.
is not an off the soundboard either. Eddie Kramer gave this a lot of time and attention and love, and you can hear it. I only heard one track so far, but man, it sounded fantastic.
And we'll talk about it more after it's released on August 21st.
One thing I'm not looking forward to though is the other record coming out in August. So once again, our friends at Walmart are putting out a Walmart exclusive Kiss Greatest Hits vinyl. And
Uh,
it's 74 to 79 and it's exactly what you'd think it would be. It's paint by numbers, it's fill in the blanks, and there's no surprises, and it is what it is. And in a sense, it's kind of interesting because they're following up Anaheim just a couple weeks later, kind of like, the originals followed up Alive, but it's not going to have the same impact, and I'm definitely going to skip this one.
oh yeah, definitely. I believe this is just a vinyl version of the Icon release,
Yep.
which I think is also the same as one of the Millennium greatest hits. I think this collection has actually been released on CD a couple of times. Now they're putting it out on vinyl, I guess, just to try to make a quick buck. Yeah, I don't think I'll be grabbing that one either, unless it winds up in the bargain bin for $5 with the corner cut off.
The cutouts. I might reconsider though because it does have Rock and Roll All Night, and I'd really love to have a copy of that somewhere. So
Right, yeah.
there's that.
Hopefully it's the studio version with no guitar solo, because who needs that?
Exactly. Hmm.
Um, well, if you want to talk about another record, though, we can talk about the very exclusive record that I got from my buddy Mike for my birthday.
Please do, because like I said, this is a one of one. I have not had a chance to wield this one or spin it or anything. So
That's right. So yeah, I believe I do actually own probably the rarest Kiss related record in the world, even rarer than an official copy of "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," because this is one of one. Of course, you saw this in the opening of the show. This is my Rip and Destroy episode 15 on vinyl, pressed exclusively. by I don't know, Mike Decken Productions, I guess, Mosquito Media, Mosquito Records, whatever it is. But yeah, this is actually awesome. I don't know how you got away with getting the Casablanca logo or label on there, but yeah, I did spin it, and it sounds fantastic. It sounds great.
Love it.
The I'm just wondering, where did you get this made?
There is a place online that everybody should check out. It's called Print Your Vinyl. So it's
Okay,
printyourvinyl.com. I looked at a bunch of different places and some of them were like 4 times more expensive. And it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it's definitely worth doing. If you have a compilation of songs that you want to put on vinyl or something you've recorded, they do 7-inch, they do different colored vinyl. And they got it done really, really quick. And so
cool.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. It sounds great. I'm very happy with it, and I'm very much looking forward to the other 34 volumes of Rip and Troy on vinyl. That's going to be a hell of a box set when that's released. So
Yep.
thank you again, my friend.
You're very welcome. And I think the world needs to know what was the bonus track on that one.
Oh, the bonus track is the unedited version of our wives talking shit on the Valentine's Day episode. So we haven't dropped that to the world yet either. But having it on vinyl is it's a gem in and of itself.
Oh man, that was fun. That was fun.
And speaking of records and packages and all that good stuff, like we were talking about all the cool Kiss packaging a couple of episodes ago, and talking about how cool some of the new stuff that they're putting out is. And I just want to give a plug, not that they need it, because they're gods among men, but I just want to give a plug to the new Deep Purple record called Splat. Not only is this a banger of a record, and they are still killing it in their advanced age, but man, check out this package. It's got gorgeous artwork. It's got some hit of gloss on there. Some of it is embossed. Okay, and then it's a gatefold. This whole thing is like chock full of artwork. We got purple and yellow inner sleeves. It's on yellow vinyl, like
Nice.
translucent yellow vinyl. That was the purple sleeve. So the yellow sleeve, both of them have different information and stuff on them. And then it also comes with, man, it comes with an art book with
Ah,
of
very
more.
cool.
I'm not sure who the artist is that did this. It's very kind of surrealist stuff. But yeah, it's a lyric book that is full of all kinds of art. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but once again, just to kind of prove our point that this can still be done, and it can still be done by legacy bands. Not only, like I said, is the music awesome, the packaging is awesome, and I mean, if you're into classic rock, if you like Deep Purple, and who doesn't, and you certainly should, I highly recommend the new Purple record. So
And
go out and get this great
who
package.
and who produced it?
Our friend Bob Ezrin. Imagine that. So
Imagine
yeah,
that.
like I said, all of you should run out and check this out.
Yeah, we like to give a little time and love to young up and coming bands. So there you go, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, I see a bright future ahead for these Deep Purple kids.
I'm rooting for them.
The last thing I wanted to mention is we would like to bid a fond farewell to Miss Bonnie Tyler, the 80s pop hit queen, who released the banger classics Total Eclipse of the Heart and Holding Out for a Hero, but is relevant to this podcast because recall from several episodes ago, she was actually the first one to record and release Hide Your Heart, written by Paul
Right,
Stanley.
right.
So yeah, R.I.P. Bonnie Tyler. Godspeed to you, man.
Mm. Godspeed indeed. Rest in peace. Okay, before we dive in, I have one quick question. Speaking of your birthday, okay, there's a tradition here on Rip and Destroy. When it's your birthday, you get to pick the episode. Like last time I did Trick or Treat. This time
Yeah.
you specifically picked the lore of Kiss and the characters.
Huh?
So what was it about that that made you want to dive in?
I was just kind of, as I do, I just kind of muse about things during the course of the day and think about things, and my mind wanders. And I was just thinking about like when we were kids and we thought they were actual superheroes, and all the propaganda that came out about Ace is a spaceman and Gene is a demon. And I was more like, we all know the actual story about, okay, Gene chose his character because he was into horror movies and comic books and he wanted to be a monster. Ace liked science fiction and science and all that stuff, and Paul wanted to be a star, and Peter always said he had 9 lives. So that's kind of where the characters came from when you're talking about the guys themselves. But I was always kind of interested in, is there like a unified story to these characters? And there really isn't,
Nope.
but there are actually like at least three or four. to be honest. And so I kind of wanted to like piece them together and see if we could come up with kind of like a unified lore behind the demon and the Starchild and the spaceman and the cat. So I don't know. I just thought it'd be a fun thing to dive into for a couple of comic book and toy and movie nerds like ourselves, and see if we can figure out where, you know, where these characters kind of actually came from and kind of fit in.
Yeah, this was fun. This was fun because it didn't necessarily change over the years, but it evolved and it grew and it kept getting bigger and bigger, as you'll see, until we get to one era a little bit later in the band where you had three or four kind of going on at the same time,
Right.
given like all these different brands were representing the story in a different light. So, where do we even begin?
Well, and that's I just want to say that's kind of part of the problem is that, a lot of this didn't always come from the band themselves, where you have like let's say a band like Guar, where they have like their whole story and their whole lore and it's ongoing and it's one thing. Like a lot of this
Mm.
came from different sources. So, can they be pieced together into one? I don't know, probably not. But it's interesting to see like what has been out there and talk about what ones we like and what we don't.
And I like what you said about when you're kids, you kind of believed it, you kind of bought into
Yeah,
it because there's something about Kiss where it never fully went away. Even though we got older, we got married, we had kids, we had bills, life kind of took all the magic away, but not all of it, you know. And you go see
right.
Kiss and you're still kind of, you felt it again.
Yeah,
That same feeling you had when you watched 321 Contact or the same feeling you had the first time you popped in Anaheim on VHS.
right.
So, yeah.
So the earliest thing that I could find was the bios that came with the Kiss Army kit in 1976. Now I don't have an original. This is the one that I have is from the Destroyer box set. So there's a
Mm,
facsimile, but there's this little yellow flyer that says "Meet the members of Kiss," and it's got some of the character backstories. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go through these real quick.
please do.
Um, you've got Gene Simmons first, and it's kind of interesting because Gene's is actually not super fantastical, even though he's the monster. It actually is a little more about him as a person. It says childhood for blood drizzling vampire Gene Simmons was a period of bats, capes, Lon Chaney movies, and hamburgers cooked very rare. In those years, his unusual interests sometimes cost him friends, so he turned to his pets for companionship. Gene often carries the corpse of his former pet tarantula with him, preserved and displayed in the plexiglass buckle of a belt.
Mm.
Actually, most of that is true. I mean, he's not really a vampire, and I don't know how many rare hamburgers he ate when he was a kid. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he was into Lon Chaney movies, and I don't know how many friends he had,
Mm.
because we all know that he was, he didn't speak English for the first few years of his life here, and that's why he kind of turned to comic books and fantasy stuff. And then it kind of talks about like how he is on stage, but that doesn't really that's more about the person and not so much about like the demon. It's not
Right.
saying that he was born on Olympus and raised by the demon.
Yep.
So
It's implied. It's not defined. It's more of an like an implication of a character.
so then it moves on to Paul. We got Paul and Peter on the inside. So now Paul's is interesting because it says many centuries ago, Paul was a prince, the son of a powerful medieval lord traveling in a distant country. He was kidnapped by a jealous rival of his father and thrown into a secret dungeon, where he finally died after years of agonizing loneliness. On
Mm.
his deathbed, Paul made a sacred vow. If he were ever given the right to live again, he would devote his life to love.
Oh.
Aw. Yeah, Paul was granted his wish in time. His love and passion flow from every pore, touching people of all ages and both sexes.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what we thought. This extraordinary gift is transmitted through his music, creating an atmosphere of love that permeates every corner of the universe. His irresistible power reaches all. And the other thing is, it gives their star sign on the bottom of all of these too. And Gene is a Virgo, and it does say that Paul is a Capricorn.
It's Capricorn. Interesting.
He is a
Yep.
Capricorn. Well, and you know what? I'll tell you something. I looked it up, and January 20th, his birthday, is actually on the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn. So I guess he leans Capricorn, especially when, you got to make it rhyme for some lyrics.
Yeah. And
So
unfortunately, Kiss broke up at a point in time in this world, and this country desperately needs more love. So
true. That's true.
well,
We need Paul's pores to ooze some
yes,
more love.
we're overdue for some oozing.
Next, we've got Peter Chris, of course.
Great picture.
This is great. As an infant, Peter was rescued from a plane crash by a band of saber-toothed tigers. The saber-tooth tigers were like in like dinosaur times though. Like how old is Peter?
It's a good
I mean,
question.
he did drop out of school when he was 22, so I don't know. The warm softness of his foster mother's coat is one of his earliest memories.
Aw.
At the age of 3 or 4, he doesn't know his exact date of birth. Yeah, no shit. Dropped out of school when he was 22. He wandered too near a band of hunters and was captured and returned to civilization. Peter still feels very much like a cat, though. It's apparent on stage he approaches his music like a cat on the prowl, attacks his drums with the ferocity of a tiger after prey. His performance is an all out effort of tremendous energy and instinct. Afterwards, he usually finds a quiet corner to curl up in. And
And,
he's
and,
a Sagittarius.
and at no point did they mention the Eye of Thundera. So you just
Yeah,
have to wonder.
I guess so. And last but not least is Space Ace Frehley. He is actually called Space Ace Frehley, and he's wearing the pizza box.
Pizza box. Love it.
Ace is a unique being, probably the only one you'll ever know, whose ancestors came from another planet. He tells the story simply. His parents were space explorers. They were stranded on Earth when their spaceship lost power within Earth's magnetic field. They were able to descend safety and soon adopted the language and habits of their new land. And the booze. The cosmic
Oh,
energy of Ace's ancestry still pulses through his veins. At odds with gravity, it creates a wide aura of cosmic vibration that has a tantalizing effect on all Earthlings. His music reverberates with an intensity that can only be described as otherworldly. It is hypnotic and pleasurable beyond compare, and
mm,
he's a Taurus.
vibe and ooze.
Yeah, and at odds with gravity. R.I.P. Ace. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, R.I.P., man.
Okay,
It- And it was interesting to me too that the first time they had a chance to do an interview, it was Gene, of course, on April 29th, 1974, on the Mike Douglas show, that he had every intention of doing that whole entire thing totally in character. He was addressing the whole wide world. He came out as the demon. He wanted to eat the audience and just do the whole thing as the Lon Chaney character. And that lasted all of about 32 seconds because the whole doing something in character and building the lore also died on April 29th, 1974 at the capable hands of Saint Toady.
I don't think they really thought about it ahead of time because during that interview, Mike Douglas says, "Are you a bat?" And he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "Actually, what I am is evil incarnate." So he's like making that shit up on the spot. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they had it quite figured out yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure that it was only decided at the last second that Gene was going to go out and do the interview. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't think they had a whole lot of prep time for that. The only other thing I could find from kind of that era is in an old magazine that I happen to have. It's this TV Superstars Kiss pinup book magazine, and this is from 1978. And the only thing I could find that really kind of related to the character lore was in these vital statistics of the band. And the only thing that really kind of leans into the whole character thing is under Gene's bio. It says born August 25th, and the rest is top secret unless you believe him when he says he was hatched in 1776, the same year
Mm.
of the Great Revolution. So I was unable to find where he claimed that. May have just been made up by the magazine, but I feel like there's probably a lot of interviews or something where they came up with some of this, like dropped some of this stuff. But I was really kind of unable to find anything. Were you able to come up with anything from any of those 70s teeny bopper magazines besides pictures of Andy Gibbs' butt?
That too. 16 Tiger Beat, Hit Parader, Circus, Cream, Rock Scene. It was interesting because, like you said, one thing I did learn is that a lot of the magazines would just make stuff up. So they could put Kiss on the cover and still have an
Right.
article. And it was also interesting too because there was a big lack of continuity between the magazines themselves because you pretty much had two different kinds of magazines. You had like the teen magazines with the Andy Gibbs butt and what have you. And then you had the
Right.
music magazines. So over here you had like the 16 Tiger Beat, and over here you had Cream and Hit Parader. And the teen magazines were more inclined to write about them as characters, like in character.
Yeah.
And the music magazines would talk about band members, performing in garb. And the teen magazines, again, it was trying to portray the fact that they're like this 24/7. This is who they are. And the music magazines are more, they kind of walk the line between performer and human being.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found too. But I wish we could have found more because I know it was out there.
Right.
So then the next place we should probably look is the Marvel Comics super specials from the mid '70s, the famous Blood issue, and also the follow up from the following year. I do have the original, but also I have this, which they
Right.
released in the '90s when they reprinted both of the super specials, which was interesting too because it's under the label Marvel Music, which I'm pretty sure maybe
Hmm.
began and ended with this issue. But
That's the whole run.
so anyway, this is a good way to read through those both those issues and not crack open your very valuable originals. So shall we dive into what Marvel Comics came up with for their lore?
Absolutely yes, because who better? I know there's DC people and there's Marvel people, but who better than Marvel to develop a backstory, origin story, and build characters?
And not only that, have them face off against Doctor Doom, which is
Exactly.
actually kind of cool because Doctor Doom, in a way, it kind of factors into the creation of Kiss as we're talking about the superhero characters. So in the Marvel comics, Paul, Gene, Ace, and Peter start off as a group of normal friends, normal guys, and one day this guy who's basically kind of a street musician, kind of a basically kind of a homeless guy, or is kind of one of those weirdos that like hangs out around on the street, known as Dizzy the Hun, gives Paul and Gene this box because he's in trouble. Dizzy is he's getting attacked, and he sees Paul and Gene, and he throws them this box, and suddenly everybody's after Paul and Gene, and then they catch up with Ace and Peter. The four of them wind up like hiding out in like a photo booth, and they're about to get attacked by these guys who are after Dizzy the Hun, and all of a sudden things go boom pow, big puff of smoke, and out comes Kiss.
Mm.
And what turns out to be in the box were the talismans. Okay, so the talismans, as they were shown in the Marvel comics, were something like this. It actually looked like four action figures and a star. So I don't know if they didn't quite have it figured out at that point. These talismans turn Kiss into superheroes, and they have the powers that we would expect. Gene is super strong and he breathes fire. Paul shoots beams out of his eyes and he has a little bit of kind of a telepathy thing going on. He can read minds. Ace can shoot beams from his hands and he can also teleport by way of the hitchhiking maneuver, which I actually think is hilarious. And then Peter, of course, has like super agility and can bite and scratch like a cat, I guess.
I got to challenge that for a second. One thing I like about this is that, they're not walking that line anymore. These are mythological superheroes that just happen to play music. They kind of check the box and they check the right one. You're right. I think you're 75% right. I think three of them have superpowers, but you could take a long, hard look at Pete and he's got nothing going. And that's unfortunate, but agility is not a superpower. Agility is from stretching. So poor Pete got the shaft. He's basically like the water half of the Wonder Twins. There's just not a lot happening there by way of magic. So, yeah, I don't know where the talisman was on that one, but come on. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you don't show up to do your own voice, but we'll talk about that later. So, what ends up happening then is Doctor Doom shows up, and turns out that he was originally the owner of this box and the talismans, and he calls it the Box of Kiss. But Kiss is spelled Khyszcz, so it's like Kiss or something. I don't know. But anyways, Kiss, whatever it is, was like another planet, and these were like magical talismans from that planet. I don't know the science behind it, but anyways, they turned the boys into superheroes, and then they fight Doctor Doom, and Marvel Comics are going to Marvel Comics. So in the second super special, Dizzy the Hun returns and tells them a little bit more about their lore, about their background. They do show the land of Kiss as kind of a you know kind of a futuristic land. And the only other thing about the second Marvel Super Special is that they changed the look of the talismans,
Mm.
and I believe that was to kind of lead into Phantom of the Park.
And speaking of talisman, Phantom of the Park really is the holy grail of Kiss lore. I mean, you can pull more from that than anywhere else, and it keeps with the whole like you said, they pulled a lot from the comics for Phantom of the Park. It keeps with the whole comic book vibe. In all of these, one reoccurring element that I noticed is that Paul really is the leader. And it's not even 1984 yet, and Paul is already calling the shots. And
Right.
this one adds a couple things to it too. You have teleportation, you have transparency, there's more magic and more superpowers, which is really cool. So, what did you get out of Phantom?
Phantom, like I said, it kind of continued off the Marvel comics as far as it has the same powers. It has those talismans. The only mention really of who they are or how they got to be in Phantom is that one scene where they're showing the talismans for the first time to Melissa. And, you know, Paul says, without them, we have no powers. And
Hmm.
Peter says, we're just ordinary human beings. And, Jean says, not quite ordinary. That's kind of the only hint that they were normal humans before they got the talismans and became superheroes. Other than that, they don't really dive into a whole lot of the backstory, but like you said, it kind of further develops the powers and the abilities and the superhero nature of it all, and we get to see it in live action.
You
Chef's
know,
kiss.
I'd like to see a sequel that does the origin story like a prequel,
Yeah,
kind of like Godfather 2. Maybe we can expect that from the Avatars. Who knows? That would be really cool.
they got to be worth something.
So that's 1978. I don't know what you found between 78 and 1997. I didn't find a whole lot, but after the reunion, they kind of picked up where they left off. But did you find anything in that interim period?
No, not really. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot of that going on during the non-makeup period. But after the reunion, the first thing we have to talk about is going to be the Kiss Nation comic.
There it is.
This was kind of a yeah, this was kind of a this was put out by Marvel Comics as well, and it was kind of like an official fanzine. Like there was a lot of like everything in here was like contributed by fans. There was a lot of like articles that were like fan contributions, but there was also Marvel Comics, so it was kind of like a half and half comic book fanzine thing. And really, this actually picks up where the two Marvel Super Specials leave off because you've got basically the same characters, the same powers, just with updated artwork. It's very 90s. Me personally, I actually prefer the art in the 70s books to the art that was in Kiss Nation. I don't love it. What they introduced in this was kind of a reality bending situation where it starts off with Kiss fighting monsters with their superpowers, and then it cuts to a scene in the Marvel offices where Kiss Unmasked are hanging out with some of the artists and with Stan Lee there. But what's interesting is it's Paul, Gene, Eric Singer, and Bruce Kulick.
Oh.
Um, and Bruce says, "How come Eric and I don't get to do more in the comic?" And Eric says, "You're right, Bruce. Maybe we should get some costumes." And then there's a little sidebar down at the bottom that says, "You guessed it, Kissophiles. This story takes place before Ace and Peter return to the band."
Mm.
So
Mm.
awkward, a
A little bit awkward. And then
little bit awkward.
when the secretary goes up to Eric and Bruce and says, "We only have one costume left. You're gonna have to fight for it." Oh, sorry, Bruce. But
So, anyways, I wasn't super crazy about this. You would think things got better in the 90s, but they kind of really didn't. The art, I think, is like I said, it's not great. Gene at one point gets it on with Psylocke for a hot minute, which I'm sure was probably at Gene's request. Um, Otherwise, they team up with Doctor Strange and Wolverine and fight some monsters, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It doesn't give a whole lot of extra background into the lore, but firmly cements those versions of uh, of the Kiss superheroes.
and what I really dug about this is that, huge Kiss fan, huge Marvel Comics fan, as we both were, of course. And there's a lot of, back and forth between the two. Of course, you have the cover, which is a throwback to the very first Fantastic Four cover.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
yeah. Let me show that.
please do, please do.
Yeah.
And
So this came with a fold-out cover, and it's actually by Ken Kelly, which is awesome because there's we all know about Destroyer, both the Destroyers and Love Gun, and then he did that one. It was like a Norwegian Kiss tribute album cover or something. But people might not know that he did this as well. So this is actually I guess technically the fifth Kiss painting that he did. And as you can see, yes, it totally mimics the cover of Fantastic Four #1. And for the most part, it's pretty great. I love it. I love the colors. Gene and Paul look cool. Ace and Peter, not so much. Yeah, they come on, Ken. You can do a little better as far as those dynamic comic book poses. I would think they're a little boring, but other than that, I think that's a very interesting side note and relic.
wait.
Um,
You might want to crack that open one more time because the top looks great. The top looks like a painting. The bottom, especially Ace, it kind of looks like a color form. Do you remember color forms where you
oh
like
yeah, I had the Kiss ones.
you'd stick them on the little
Yeah.
background sets. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. This looks great. Like, the in the back looks great with Wolverine and Doctor Strange and the all of that. And, Jean and Paul look good and the monster looks good. But yeah, I'm wondering what's going on with Ace and Peter there. They're a little static, little little rushed, but they probably put Ken under a deadline. You know how it goes.
And then it's
Yeah.
great. It's great to see Kiss interacting with the X-Men too. I thought that was really very cool.
If you really want to see Jean and Psylocke together, I mean, whatever. But
There's a little Wolverine in there too. But okay, I know we didn't mention the Mego 1978, 12-inch Kiss figures, but I want to kind of talk about the toys now too, because that's going to start to factor into the lore and the storytelling.
okay,
But
sure.
but this is where this is right about the time that the McFarlane action figures came out. But
Yeah,
the first set that came out, and thank you for sending me a whole case. You sent me the whole box, still have them. But the action figures at this time didn't really take on a lot of the superhero elements. They were just the band. Now they had weapons, but they were still just the band on the Kiss stage.
yeah,
And that takes us up to a really confusing time in Kiss lore history. We kind of alluded to this before, because now we have the Psycho Circus era, and that gave them a lot to work with by way of storylines. But instead of it just being like the fan club bio or just a magazine, now you have comic books, you have toys, you have video games, and you have the band themselves and the stuff that they're putting out. And they're not all telling the same story because they're not all coming from the same company. The video game company is not McFarlane Toys and what have you. So you're getting little pieces of different stories and they don't all line up. So this is kind of it's a fun time for the Kiss backstory, but it's also kind of a confusing time too. So it's not until 1998 when they do the Psycho Circus storylines. For me, it kind of felt like the very first time that they intentionally started incorporating storylines and lore, like the mythology behind Kiss. They
yeah,
really, that late in the game, they really started to try to develop that. And they went with the idea that these are mystical beings that have been here forever, which is a different story than the comic book, obviously, when they were human beings that turned into Kiss. Now it seems they're more celestial beings that have always been there. And another thing I noticed too, and this might have been intentional and it might have been for merchandising, but right about this time they started getting away from their names and they just started going with the character names. As
right.
far as Spaceman and Demon. And I know that they incorporate that a lot now for the simple fact that they didn't want to use Ace or use Peter's name, but obviously they still want to go with the characters. So you don't see those names on action figures, for example. And speaking of action figures, these are kind of nuts. They're kind of fun, they're kind of crazy, but they're taking on the circus elements. They're getting more fantastic. McFarlane's getting really, really creative with what these figures look like. And there's the circus versions, there's the superhero versions, there's the human versions, all kind of wrapped up in the same thing. So like I said, you had Image Comics, you had McFarlane Toys, and then you had the Nightmare Child video game, all telling the story and not all telling it the same. So it's fun. There's a lot to work with there, but it's if you really look at it, it's kind of confusing at the same time.
Yeah, and even though I'm a big gamer, I've actually never played that game.
I haven't either.
From what it looks like it's like a first person shooter, kind of in the vein of like Doom or Half-Life or Halo or whatever. And I don't even really like those kind of games, but I also don't think the game has all that much to do with Kiss. From what
Mm.
I've seen, it's a lot of shooting monsters and stuff, and there's not a whole lot of Kiss actually happening in this Kiss video game.
Yeah, I have it. I've had it forever since it came out, but I've never once played it, and I don't like first person shooters because they make me kind of queasy.
There was only two Kiss video games, which maybe we can talk about at some point. Maybe we'll have to bust out Nightmare Child and try to play it. But there was the Kiss Psycho Circus Nightmare Child, and then there was Kiss Pinball on the PlayStation 1, and they're both terrible. I don't know how you fuck up Kiss Pinball, but the Kiss Pinball is bad. So, but I do own that one. So we'll have to talk about that someday.
So many different versions of the story throughout the entire 50-year career of Kiss. Which one's your favorite?
I mean, probably the Marvel Comics one and the Phantom of the Park one makes the most sense, but that still kind of doesn't give a whole lot of background on like why each one is who they are, the demon and the spaceman and everything. And the other thing I noticed was that even though the bio of Ace in the Destroyer or the Kiss Army Pack says that he came from another planet, I couldn't quite pinpoint when he started to mention the name Jendell.
Okay.
I think that might have been sometime in the late 70s when when he came up with the fact that he came from planet Jendell. And the only way that fits is if we put it into the bio from the Kiss Army Pack, where he says, his parents were space explorers. So I'm guessing they came from Jendell. But other than that, I guess if the four young New York City Kiss dudes grabbed those talismans and became superheroes and fought Doctor Doom, that's probably the winner.
Okay. It's fun to think that, Gene, as many comic books as the guy read and as many movies as he's seen, when he would supplement his own backstory, he'd screw it up. I'm a bat. I'm evil. I'm a demon. I'm Lon Chaney, whatever. But Ace just throws it out there and makes it beautiful. He's like, yeah, I'm an
Right.
alien. Jendell. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. And if you really think about it, that's the most interesting one.
Yeah. I agree.
And the one that makes the most sense. Because what the fuck is a star child? We still don't know.
I'd have to leapfrog over that very first bio with the oozing and what have you and go straight to 1978. 1978 was just so much fun. The costumes, they were larger than life. You had Phantom of the Park and everything. That's, when I think about Kiss, that's what I think about. So I'd pick that one too.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's when the band itself was actually imploding. So, and some of that was over all of this bullshit. So,
Well, speaking of imploding, there's one thing we haven't talked about yet. Two more characters, one of which had six different names. We had the Wiz, the Ankh Warrior, the Egyptian Warrior,
right,
Mr. Vincent.
yeah,
He has absolutely no representation in any of this at all. And then, of course, Eric
no,
Carr, the Fox.
right, right. Well, I realized that they never came up with any kind of lore for the Ankh Warrior or the Fox, but luckily, we here at Rip and Destroy, as you all know, we're givers, and I came up with lore for Eric and Vinny.
Man,
Would you like to hear it?
well, it's your birthday and you're the one giving gifts. Hell yes, I want to hear this.
All right. Okay. So Eric Carr. I mean, okay, as we all know, Eric Carr, prior to joining Kiss, was a stove repairman,
Yes, he was
right? He
with
was.
with the mustache.
Right. So what happened to Eric was, one day he went out on a call, to repair somebody's stove, and it was somewhere out in the sticks. And he gets to this place, goes in the kitchen, he opens up the stove, and out jumps a radioactive fox, which bites him and turns him, into the Fox character, and he is now an amazing drummer, and and can still repair your stove. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So
Well, it makes sense. Radioactive foxes, of course, are inclined to bite if given the opportunity. That's
from what I've heard,
hilarious.
yes,
I love
yes,
it. I love how you
yes.
incorporated the stove. That's
Well, yeah,
funny.
you have to. Yeah. So, so then that brings us to Vinnie Vincent, the
Mhm.
Egyptian Wiz, whatever. So Vinnie in ancient Egypt was a servant to a pharaoh, and he was very arrogant
Mm.
about his abilities to jerk the pharaoh off. But so that was his job, was to you know give the pharaoh a handy. But he kept taking longer and longer and longer to do it. He would just be masturbating forever and ever and ever until one night the pharaoh just finally just cut him off, said, "Okay, you're done." And Vinny the servant says, "Don't you ever do that to me again." And so the pharaoh had him killed.
Mm.
And as a result, he was reborn as the paranoid Ankh warrior.
It's brilliant. How'd you even come up with that?
I just sometimes this shit writes itself.
Well, there it is. Filling in the blanks.
You know what? There it not is, because I have two more for you.
Okay, okay.
Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer actually also have
Stop.
their own lore. Oh
I
yeah,
love I
oh yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I love it.
I've
Okay.
got it all. I've got it all. So
Who's next?
okay, we're gonna go with Eric Singer. So he is a cat man, but you know how your brother accidentally left the back door open and your cat gets out and then your dad actually runs over him with the car,
I
and
hate it
so
when
your
that
dad has to
happens.
go, and so your dad has to go to the animal shelter and pick out a cat that looks just like your cat, so he hopes you don't notice. So he brings home this cat and goes, "Oh, look, here's your cat." And you're like, "This isn't my cat, but okay." That's Eric Singer, the cat man.
Oh, fantastic. Well done, sir.
Yes. And luckily, Tommy Thayer is a very easy explanation. He's a pod person, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So,
Well done. Well done, sir. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. I'm, I, I actually think those are more interesting than some of the ones from the original lineup, but what do I know?
It beats the hell out of Psycho Circus, I'll tell you that much.
That's true.
Well, if anybody wants to see our origin story, you can do that by simply ordering a copy of the original Rip and Destroy fanzine from 1995. It's available now. And if you happen to get one in 1995, which you probably didn't because not many people did, and the one guy that actually bought it, we bought it back from him. It's a story
Yeah,
you've heard before.
right.
However, this one has extra stuff. TJ put it all together. It's a fantastic package. It's got all the art, all the cartoons, all the articles, and even some brand new content on top of that. So there's going to be a link right under this where you can order that for yourself or to
Yep.
share with the people you love.
That's right. Other than that, you can always follow us on Instagram at Rip and Destroy Podcast. Drop us a comment here on YouTube or here on Spotify, whatever you're consuming us on. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like all the kids say. And you can drop us an email at Rip and Destroy Podcast at gmail.com. Tell us your origin story or which versions of the Kiss characters you like the best. And we always like to turn this into a conversation. So let's hear what you got.
One last thing, too. You spent the better part of a half an hour, 45 minutes with us right now. Take 30 more seconds, if you would, for me. Go on to Instagram and leave a comment on TJ's birthday post.
Nah, don't worry about it. It's
Share some love. Come on.
It's fine. It's fine.
Happy birthday, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Kill the Paul, Phil. Kill the Paul.